Welcome to the Horror Hangout podcast, where two bit of fun fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time. My name is Luke Condor Kate. I'm joined by my regular co-host, Mr.
Ben Harrington. Oh.
Ooh.
It acted like I hadn't used my voice for hours when we've just been chatting for like 30 minutes. But my voice still decided to go, right, you're live, are you? On a podcast? Oh, hello.
I've just downed this Ribena and my mouth feels it's so sweet that my mouth feels like it's like shrinking.
Is it
I can't...
warm Ribena?
It is, yeah. Warm and sweet.
Warm and sweet Ribena. Describe to everybody on the podcast what you're wearing. I feel like we need to discuss it.
It's kind of like I mean, to be fair, it's like, do you know what a vet bed is? It's like dog beds. You get like these kind of, it's like really cheap, like dog mat stuff. It's like that material, but fashioned into a
for human beings
Inuit hoodie. Yeah. So it looks like I've carved the flesh off of a very stylish woolly mammoth.
How long is it? How long does it go down to your knees?
No, it's not. It's not that bad. I mean, the dressing gown covers the rest of me. I've got the dressing gown over my legs.
Oh, you do? It sounds so cozy. I feel like I'd fall asleep if I was so wrapped up warm. I'm the opposite.
Feels like I'm a mum on a Saturday football game. You don't
want to get up to cheer. You just want to.
Too cold for that. Yeah.
Too cold for that. Exactly.
Go on.
Go on. Do it. You little twat. Very nice.
Yeah.
It's 2020. It's 2021 then.
It is 2021. Yeah. How you finding the year so far?
Well, obviously UK's back in a lockdown. Lock it down, which I guess we all kind of anticipated anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But still, a bit bizarre, isn't it? Now that we think in a couple of months we're going to be coming up to a year since the first one. Is this just the way life's going to be now?
My prediction, and you shouldn't listen to my prediction because I don't really watch the news. My uninformed prediction is that we will be dealing with this until about March 2022. Mark my words. But
to be fair,
everyone's vaccines and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, now you've said that, that doesn't make me go, what? That makes me kind of feel...
Because how are the doctors going to get the vaccines into people if they're so far away at home? Those needles don't squirt that far.
Squirt? They'll have to get some sort of like Gatling gun thing. And they'll have to go, right, you're allowed out of the house to exercise, so everyone go to your local park. And everyone go to your local park and line up around the outside. Yeah. Someone, obviously social distance, someone who's qualified will have a vaccine Gatling gun in the middle of the park, and they'll just go and give it a 360-degree, nail everyone. Then everyone leaves the park, and then a whole new batch come in. That's how it's gonna happen. All right.
I like it.
I like it.
So that's your prediction. That's what you're sticking with. You can't change it. No backstays. And I'm just going to say we'll all be done by 2022 March.
We'll all be done. So if anyone in April 2022 goes, I think I got a bit of coronavirus, you got to go, no, it's done with. I do know some people in New Zealand currently, and I watched their Instagram story, and they're at a festival. They're at a music festival, and there's people everywhere, and there's people on the shoulders.
I don't understand how it works, but have they got rid of it completely? There's no mutated strain.
It was gone, and I think then maybe it came back very briefly, but it's pretty much gone. Yeah, I mean, obviously, different country, different strokes, but seeing that is when you go, hang on a minute, what the Jesus?
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, so we're going to be running through our sort of favourites and least favourites of 2020. Andy Condit Turner was going to join us, but he is predisposed. He's not ill or anything like that. He's fine. At
the last minute, he just went, fuck you guys. And we just went, gotta respect that. Gotta respect your honesty. But he has sent his list over, so we can discuss his list as well. Although after looking at his list, I'm not going to make any assumptions, but looking at his list in his top 5, there are some crossovers of mine, and I'm just wondering if yours are as well. Then
Yeah, well, what we'll do when we're doing the countdown of films, like we'll take it in turns. If someone doesn't have, if the other person doesn't have that on their list, we'll talk about it. If they do, we'll hang fire until that person has got to theirs, and then we'll have a little bit of a chin wag.
I think just that I'll just read out Andy's at the end of that.
Okay, all right.
Instead of trying to include him. Sorry, mate.
So, do you want to start with the bonus categories before we go into films?
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. Did you want any horror news today? Just
I'll take some if you've got some.
I mean, I got a couple of little snippets. I don't know if you
on,
want to do what we've been watching as well, because I've got a couple of things. But obviously, if we don't want to, there's lots.
I could go for that. I could go for that. I've got something to talk about.
I can go for that. No can do. Okay, so a few films that have been on my kind of radar recently are getting finally getting names, and they're finally being called. So James Wan's movie, I think we have discussed it before, but it's going to be called Malignant, his new horror movie, which is separate from the old Conjuring verse and stuff. But it's going to be on HBO Max sometime this year. A trailer possibly on its way soon, but it's just been rated R for strong horror, violence, gruesome images, and language. So, so not a family-friendly one, which is kind of nice. I also saw that the oh god, what's his name? Director of The Descent,
Neil Marshall.
Neil Marshall's got a new horror as well, which I think I've mentioned before, but I think maybe
I wonder how he threatened the Hollywood executives to get that one made.
yeah, exactly. You bloody make it. Also, I did see that Mike Flanagan was attached to make an adaptation of Stephen King's Revival, but apparently it's not happening anymore. He done a tweet 2 days ago. He said the project won't be moving forward, unfortunately. Really wish I could have done them both. He was talking about something called Midnight Mass as well.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I think both. So Revival and Midnight Mass both involve priests. He was like, not interested in any priest-based horror at all. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
So that's that. And also, this was a few weeks ago. Well, I say a few weeks ago, probably a week ago. Apparently, the filming is wrapped on the Resident Evil movie Reboot. And everything I've seen of it so far looks very interesting. Even the final "that's a wrap" image from Sony Pictures, which was like a TV, staticky TV, felt a bit a CRT TV, so it felt a bit Resident Evil 7. And the clapperboard as well has got like the classic Resident Evil logo on it. So
this is the one that's going to be more faithful to the games, right?
I think so, yeah. So with all the set images we've seen, have got there's a mansion, there's a raccoon city, there's basically everything just kind of look, all the logos, the stars logos, all the text, everything looks like ripped straight from the game. So obviously they're going,
That's cool.
Let's try and do something a little bit more close to it. Yeah. So that's that. And I've also seen there's a few images from the new Zack Snyder zombie movie. Obviously, he did a remake of Dawn of the Dead in 2003, 2004. Been quite a while.
Written by James Gunn, I think, right?
Written by James Gunn. That's probably one we need to do on this podcast, because even though it's a remake, it's a...
Yeah, I watched it fairly recently. But it holds up. All right.
It's good, yeah. So apparently it's a full-blown, balls to the wall zombie heist movie, Army of the Dead. It's got loads of people in it. I can see Dave Bautista in this picture.
Balls to the wall.
Balls to the wall. So, who knows? Could be good if it's a similar sort of style to Dawn of the Dead, but it looks like it's in quite an advanced stage of a zombie apocalypse. Some of the visuals look a bit like Resident Evil 3, the movie, sort of wasteland, mercenaries. So yeah, apparently it's getting a live action prequel and an animated prequel series.
What? There's going to be a prequel series to this film that's coming out?
Yeah, an animated prequel series and a live action prequel, allegedly.
Zack Snyder suffers from scope creep, where his scope of a project just keeps on creeping wider and wider.
Yeah, I mean he's going crazy with the Snyder
Can you
cut.
see my breath, by the way? Can you see? I can see my own breath. I don't think the Inuit hoodie is doing its job.
How do you feel that you can see your own breath? What are your
It
podcast?
means it's too cold. Surely,
It
if you
means
see
it's
your
too
own breath, it means it's too cold. You should
It's confirmation that you're alive,
There
which
you go.
I always need. That's kind of it in terms of horror news. There's a lot of kind of bits and bobs of stuff. There's a lot of countdown lists I've seen on horror news bits. So yeah, we shall see.
We shall see.
We shall see.
Have you seen anything good then this past week or however long it's been?
Let's have a look. I've been watching since like the turn of the year. I've been doing some comfort watching.
Mm-hmm.
The last couple of nights, I've watched Anaconda, 1997's Anaconda, Jennifer Lopez, Ice Cube, John Voight, and I've still got a lot of love for this film. You know, it's a good romp.
So everyone in the Facebook group was saying was giving it compliments, and I cannot remember much about it at all.
It's like it's super cheesy. It kind of it knows it's cheesy. It kind of works so well because there is a quite an impressive cast of names, and there's a genuine threat from the snake as well. Like, even though majority of the shots are a very obviously animatronic head, it still looks kind of scary. CGI is a bit shiny and wobbly, and there's a few dodgy bits. But John Voight is a great villain as well.
Yeah.
Like he's doing an accent. I think it's supposed to be Spanish. Who knows? But he's good. He's like he's a creepy, sleazy sleazeball, and you just want to see him get hurt, basically. And when he does, spoiler alert, sorry, it's great. It's great when you see a villain get their comeuppance. But yeah, I've got this film. I've watched a lot in my life. I remember seeing it on.
It explains a lot about who you are as a person.
Oh, it does.
It's
Snaky.
That guy's seen Anaconda.
Do you remember cable TV growing up? The channel called Front Row, where like it would show previews for the films like all day long, and I think the film started every 2 hours. And if you paid for it, it would obviously play. But if you didn't pay for it, the like first minute of it would play, and then it would like flicker off.
Yeah, that's weird.
So I remember seeing.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Well, I remember seeing the first minute of Anaconda like dozens of times. Where I'll be like, oh, this looks great. I want to watch this. The trailer looks good. And then I watch the first minute, and Danny Trejo is in it in the first minute being stalked by like some unseen creature.
Is it a snake?
I want to watch it. I don't want to watch it. It's a snake, yeah.
Did it live up to the hype? Did it live up to the hype that you were giving it?
I think it did at the time. Like, I thought it was the best thing ever. Like, I thought it was absolutely superb. But now, I'm a bit like, yeah, still good, still watchable. There's a lot of good characters, and yeah, the action sequences are good as well. And I also watched, so I kind of like, I've been doing a monster movie. I don't know what to do for the third installment of this potential trilogy. But Eight-Legged Freaks I watched last night as well. So obviously this is a bit more of a comedy.
This is got what's his face in it? Dewey, your favorite wrestler.
Big bad David Arquette, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a confusing thing about it, right? This is a point that it's not going to be a major talking point, but I'm going to say it anyway. On the poster, David Arquette has got like a little tiny goatee, and he's screaming as a spider like jumps around. Now in the movie, he starts off with a goatee, but he shaves it far in advance of the spiders turning up. So never at one point does he look in fear.
What kind of goatee? Like a soul patch sort of thing? Or
Maybe a little bit of a soul patch, but quite a Ricky Gervais Office era little goatee.
Okay, yeah. I just had to check my own face to see if I had a soul patch.
Yeah.
I do, but
I always get rid of that bit. I don't know what it is.
Oh, that's strange. I don't even think about it.
This feels a bit too close to my lips.
The bits above your lips are really close to your lips, I've got to say.
Yeah, I know. I kind of like it. Don't bother me for some reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, Eight-Legged Freaks is kind of like the setup's good. It's a comedy, so like it kind of wears its.
I think if you get. So you're saying you don't know what the third animal attack film would be for that?
Yeah. Well, now someone suggested to me on Twitter, and it's not really related, but it did kind of make me think. Oh yeah, I definitely want to watch that. Someone suggested, oh, you should watch Evolution next.
Oh, I love Evolution.
Yeah. which you wouldn't say was a horror at all. It's kind of like just a science fiction comedy, but we've got creatures and stuff, so that could be a good one. It was either going to be that, or I was going to potentially move on to, and I guess we will discuss this at a future point, going to move on to Congo, because that kind of fits in with
I was going to say, surely Lake Placid is the...
Yeah, see, I thought Lake Placid feels too similar to Anaconda for me.
Okay, so it would get more different. I guess Congo would be the correct...
Yeah, I know.
I've
covered it. So we got reptiles, insects, and then mammals.
Yeah.
Have I got that right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then evolution would be like aliens, and I've covered everything there. All very different genres of film, but kind of scratch the same late 90s, early 2000s itch.
Yeah.
And Did you see anything else? So the only other thing I've seen is a movie called Escape Room. Now I see that there's a few escape room movies.
I watched it as well. It came on Netflix.
Did you? I watched it on Netflix as well. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So I think this is the biggest one of them all, and that the other escape room movies are sort of lower budget potential horror movies. Okay, well there we go. What did you think of this one?
So it's kind of like a young, PG-13 version of Saw, in the sense that you've got these characters who they end up in little trap rooms, and it starts off pretty good. I would say not amazing, but quite enjoyable. I like the setups, and I like the sort of like the oven room, and I like the little puzzles that they've got in there, because you're thinking, I wonder how they're going to get out of here.
Yeah.
Then at some point, there's also like a room that's like when they're on drugs, and it starts to like spin around, and it starts like
pretty cool.
Feels like they've walked into like a game show from.
Yeah, I like the upside down room.
That was good, yeah. But then around about 3/4 of the way through, it really shits the bed for me.
I think that's how I described it. I said it shits its pants come the ending. Like the ending is just absolutely nonsensical. I'm like, what are we supposed to believe? What?
Well, it gets like it shits its pants to like a certain degree, and then the ending happens, and then it's got like a sort of coda, like a ending thing, a further ending, and you're like, wow, it really shit its pants. That's like
completely unnecessary, wasn't it?
Didn't even wipe itself up. Like it's kind
of like it was setting it up to be a certain thing, and I thought it's going to be nice if we get like a real big twist on what the ending is. So
yeah,
no spoilers, but behind in a lot of films like this, there's always like a rich people are behind it, or it's a global corporation, and people are betting on something, something like that. That's kind of what I expected, which it kind of gives you, but in like the lamest possible terms, where they've literally just seemed to have just got a guy. I mean, who is that guy? And they've gone, you're the big bad, and he's gone, am I? And they've gone, yeah, you are. Now do some villain stuff, and it was just
and then the whole thing with the plane at the end, and it felt like
I was checked out by that point.
It felt like the flavor text, or like the stuff they add on to like a roller coaster ride, to give the roller coaster some story. Like it felt like that level of like, you are this person and you're on a mission too, but watch out, the crazy stuff's about to happen.
Can you survive the escape room? Yeah, it was that.
Exactly, yeah. And I was just like, I was disappointed. I don't know what happened. I mean, maybe the writer-director guy just...
Because a good example of something like this is Haunt. So we both saw Haunt, didn't we? Mm-hmm. And that was kind of like, obviously not escape rooms, but, someone set something up for the pleasure of everybody else to sort of watch and enjoy, and these people are being put through the mill. Mm-hmm. It kind of felt like that, but, it didn't feel too sinister. This felt like the very corporate version of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that it was PG-13, but if you were like really young, then you might enjoy it. Like if you were really, really young, I think before like you developed.
4 and 5-year-olds will enjoy this.
Yeah, it's cool. I like some of the set pieces, and I like what's the face from the Daredevil TV show?
Yeah, I know who you mean.
Yeah,
except I can't remember her name immediately.
Yeah.
The only problem is that I was watching it with my girlfriend, and she just kept saying her answer to everything was just piss on it. So there was a big, a big block of ice at one point with something trapped in the middle.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
She was like, just piss on it. When they were trying to fill these glasses up on pressure point, she was like, just piss on it. Her answer to everything was just piss on it, and I was just like, I'm so glad I'm not stuck in a escape room with you, because I'd be like, just reading
what?
Yeah, I'd just be reading the rules, and suddenly the paper would just get ripped in half by a hot stream of piss.
Yeah, well, that does work for the first two puzzles. She would have knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, but after that, she would have been out of ideas. Exactly.
Unless the drugs could be overcome by pissing on it. Who knows? Well, what else did I watch? I watched a lot of comfort food stuff over Christmas. Pixar's Soul.
Yeah,
very nice. Nightmare Before Christmas. It's classic. I watched The Wedding Singer.
Yes.
Why not? These kind of films you don't even mean to put on. Like when you think about watching a film when it's not Christmas, you kind of go between different ones. You go, do I want to invest the next 2 hours? But at Christmas, you just whop them on without even thinking about it.
Yeah.
Wedding Singer's all right. It's probably one of the better Adam Sandler films, and it's got an amazing song. The "It was bullshit," and Adam Sandler's voice, I'm not gonna lie, is amazing. Yeah. It's got a really good voice.
Billy Idol.
Yeah. I mean, it's still got some sort of cheesy moments, but it's fun. What are you gonna do?
It's probably aged the best, though, isn't it? Out of most of his films, like there's not. It seems like a genuinely sort of well-to-do, well-meaning film. It doesn't feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes old Adam Sandler, you're like, what voice is he doing? What kind of character is he trying to be? But The Wedding Singer, you're like, yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
It's the 80s.
Watched Coraline because after watching Nightmare Before Christmas, I wanted to watch another Henry Selick. Is that the director's name?
Some more of that.
Yeah, Coraline's great. It's actually really cool. You don't get many films like that. Ocean's 8, which is another just randomly whopped it on. I did not. That film, again, not horror. We'll get to horror in a sec. But that film had no conflict whatsoever.
Oh god.
A film like, I don't know the Ocean films that well, but I imagine they're setting up a heist, and during the heist something goes wrong, or there's like a near miss, and there's like a reveal where like, no, we knew this was going to happen. It's all part of the plan. We overcome this sort of moment of tension. There's no tension. The plan just goes to plan. Yeah. And I think, what? It ended. I was like, I don't understand what the point of that was. Like,
I've been avoiding that just because of James Corden.
He was actually all right. He made me laugh in it.
Did he?
Yeah, and then the last film, I won't.
well, we can't let that go. Let's end this podcast right now. No, I'm joking. Go on. What else did you watch?
I won't talk about just yet because it's in my top 5 of the year.
It's in your top 5 of the year? What a lovely end to the year you must have had.
Yeah, nice.
So we've got some, before we do the top 5, we've got some smaller categories of stuff to go over. Do you think we should just go from the top of those and work through, I guess, before we do the top 5?
I don't know if my list is the same way around as yours. What have you?
Yeah, that's a good point. Why did I assume that? So I've got honourable mentions next, but do you think we should do that after the top 5?
Do that before the top 5, but not now.
Not now. Okay. So the first thing I've got is potential TV.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll do TV and games first. Maybe so different media other than films, but horror focused that we've enjoyed this year, if anything. Because there's slim pickings for me.
Yeah, I found it difficult. I haven't played that many horror games, and I don't really watch that much TV. But I found a couple that I think do fit the bill. TV show. It's not strictly horror, but Primal is one of the goriest things.
Oh yeah, didn't even think of that.
It's that. Oh my god! In fact, the first episode is full on horror. Like, the setup for the rest of the series is horrific. So it's an amazing TV show. I've managed to get a few people to watch it now, and everyone who's watched it has agreed that it is fantastic. I don't think enough people have watched it. It's maybe one of my favorite things of all mediums from last year. Like, it was just so good. It's so well done.
Yeah, it was intense. I really enjoyed it, and it stuck with me for a long time after I watched it as well. So that shows what kind of impact it had.
Yeah. What about you for TV?
So the one thing I did enjoy, and I was a bit like unsure whether I would even be into it, just because it can be the kind of thing which is a bit overdone and a bit hit and miss. But I really enjoyed Juwon Origins. So set in the universe of the Grudge.
Yeah.
It's a bit messy. It's got a few timelines going on. It shoots back and forth around decades quite often. But overall, I really enjoyed it, and it's not got like many major scares. I mean, it's got plenty of scares, but not. It's not scare to scare to scare. It's kind of a lot of very human stories as well, and interesting just about loads of different characters in Japan and the various buildings and the way these ghosts kind of exist between these people and these places. Yeah, I really liked it, and took me a couple to get into, but something about it, it doesn't feel like The Grudge. It doesn't feel like, The Ring or anything like that. It feels very much its own thing.
Cool.
But
yeah. I'll watch it. Someone else I knew was singing its praises, so yeah.
All right.
Sounds worth a go.
Very nice.
Games again. I didn't play many horror games this year, but then when I was thinking about it, there was one game that was quite scary. So it's Little Nightmares, which is a bit like it's kind of a similar genre to Inside and Limbo. If anyone's played those games, you play like a tiny, like an elf kid person. You never really see who this person is, but they've got like a raincoat on, so you never reveal who they are. Have you played it?
My nephew's played it, and I've seen him playing it, so I've seen a couple of little stages.
Cool.
Of it.
And then so you start off like you're in the bowels of, I won't spoil anything, but you're in the bowels of something like deep down in the dark, and you sort of work your way through this place. And there's like loads of like, the first few stages, you work your way through what looks like a ton of luggage, loads of random luggage, and then you find there's like a meat processing place, and you realize that they're cooking people. But everyone else is huge, so it's got this like a Jack and the Beanstalk kind of vibe, I guess, in the sense that the giants are absolutely massive. So you're kind of running around and hiding under tables and stuff, trying to sneak past these giant, horrendous-looking ogreish people, and they do grab you and sort of shove you in their mouth and start chomping on you and that kind of thing. It's got some really scary moments. But there's a couple of set pieces in it. It's got like a bit of a Tim Burton-y vibe, I will say.
Yeah.
But more, but scarier. It's not as twee, not as childish as Tim Burton. There's a couple of set pieces that I thought were so good. I've gone on YouTube and watched people play them because I wanted to see other people's reactions. Yeah, because it's just, I don't know, it's just really well done. Just a great game. Like I think it's about 3 hours long. Really cool little horror adventure, I guess you could call it. Yeah.
Is there a sequel to that coming out? Because I think I remember reading something about that.
Yeah, the trailers have been on TV. That's good. I'll get it. I'll definitely play the sequel.
Awesome.
Yeah. What about you?
February 11th, 2021. It looks like the sequel's coming out.
Day before my birthday. Here you go.
Oh, look at that. It's like they knew. How special. So I've got 3 games to talk about because I guess the 2 big survival horror releases this year. Well, I guess you'd say that. Year?
Was it 2020?
2020, yes.
If you're going to talk about what I think you're going to talk about.
Yeah, I know. So Resident Evil 3, the remake, came out in March. I'll talk about that one first.
Yeah.
And I've kind of seen like a lot of mixed stuff from people. It's very short. The campaign's like 6.5 hours long. There aren't any like additional modes. So like on the original PlayStation game, there was Mercenaries mode and other things. And with Resident Evil 2 remake, there were kind of extra bits and DLC, and it was more fleshed out. This kind of feels like for a full-priced game, if you're not a massive fan, of Resident Evil, it might feel like you might feel a bit shortchanged. I loved it because I played through it more than once on different difficulties. But yeah, they've done exactly what they did with Resident Evil 2 with Resident Evil 3, the story at least. And it's great, to see those games brought to life for like a modern audience and for this generation of console. I still kind of hope that they'd release some DLC, but maybe not now that PS5's out. Maybe they'll say we're done with this and we're moving on to obviously Resident Evil Village, which comes out this year. But yeah, it's a really good. In a way, it feels classic because obviously the Resident Evil games of old, the campaigns, the stories, were only a few hours long, 3-4 hours. If you explore every crevice, you can get a few more hours out of it. But yeah, having Nemesis after you with a rocket launcher and smashing through walls when you think you're walking through a nice little quiet corridor, and various stages of him transforming, and particularly the hospital sequence in the final third of the game is like horrific. Like you really start to run out of ammo, and you've got to get past certain creatures where you're like, I'm not going to be able to kill that thing. It's going to have my head off in one swipe. So like I really felt my back against the wall in terms of. And there's another sequence as well where you're kind of in a space and loads of constant waves of enemies come in, and that was intense, really, really intense. So it felt like a classic. It felt like a classic Resident Evil experience, and if you could pick it up pretty cheap, maybe not now, but in a few months, I definitely recommend it. Probably Resident Evil 2 is much better just because you get a lot more and it's a lot longer game. But still, this was like a nice. If anything, this feels like a little bit of an add-on, even though it was a full price game. It felt like if this was an add-on for maybe half the price, it would have been like everyone would have been going crazy over it.
Cool, man. Yeah. I don't know why I haven't played that yet. I really liked Resi 2. So
yeah. And I guess the other big one, which was obviously been winning Game of the Year on a lot of things, is The Last of Us Part 2, which I think came out in, was it like May or June?
Yeah, no spoilers because I've still not played it.
No spoilers. I won't spoil it. Obviously, it's pretty controversial in terms of some ways that the story went. Some people were disappointed. Some people were angry, but I think it's just as good, if not better, than the first one, just because it's so much bigger. Like the scale of it is so much more than the first game as well. And the first game's like nearly perfect, I'd say. But yeah, this is like the game that keeps on giving. There are so many great areas where stealth is really important, and other times where it's like full out crazy violence. But yeah, it's I suppose that's what good stories do, is they kind of frustrate you and challenge you and then reward you later on down the line. But some really like iconic moments as well, like some places you explore and some characters and things you go through. I mean, it was super, super intense. Like, I couldn't stop playing it from the time I got it. I probably finished it. I didn't smash out in like one go or two sittings. It took me a couple of weeks. But still, it felt like I was fully invested for the whole time. And I've recommended it to a few people, and they've been playing it as well. And they keep texting me when they're at certain bits. And they're like, oh, this bit's amazing. I'm like, well, you haven't seen nothing yet.
I've made a bit of a list of games I want to play this year. I've not put Last of Us 2 on there, but I should do because it's pretty high on my list. I've got here.
Go on. If you enjoyed the first one, which I think you played, did you?
Yeah,
you enjoyed the first one. It's more of the same, but different, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So I've got here Prey, which apparently is quite like BioShock, which I really like. Days Gone, which is a zombie game, but I know some people didn't like it, but I've heard that it gets really good after the first 10 hours or so.
I bought that like about a week ago because it was on sale for like 15 quid, so I just picked that up. I haven't played it yet, but
I'm looking forward to diving into that. And Spider-Man, which I've not played still, which I know is apparently great. And then Hades, which is did Hades win Game of the Year for something?
I think it did. I think a few places gave it Game of the Year. I'm not sure who, but I've seen a lot of love for it. I don't really know that much about it, to be fair, but maybe I should look into it a bit more.
Yeah. Yes. So you've got those to look forward to, and then whatever new stuff comes out as well.
So obviously Resident Evil Village is a big one for me this year.
Is that
God of
PS5?
War.
PS5
I think it will be PS5, but if anything's going to convince me to buy a PS5, it would be a Resident Evil game, or there's God of War, the New Horizon as well. The only other game I was going to mention on this list is something I'm currently playing, and it is horror. It is horror. It's like ridiculous, but so Doom Eternal, I've been playing, and it's like pretty much the same as Doom 2016, but say if the gore and the violence and the over the top ridiculous nature of everything was a 7.2 out of 10, this is a definite 10. It's like neon multicolored, like in comparison to if Doom was black and white, this is like the neon multicolored version of that. Some of the demon designs are like unreal. It kind of gives me the same sort of feeling as I guess Primal did, where you're just like, how much more can this give me? And where can it go next? And you're always like, oh my god, this is absolutely ridiculous and insane.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's probably the best first person shooter I've played. I've been playing on hard as well, because I thought I'm just going to start out on hard and hopefully I'll adapt and see how I get to it. And it is so challenging. Like, I die a lot, but I'm constantly making progress. There's bits where I go, there's no way I'm going to get past this bit, and then I'll go to bed, and then the next day I'll turn it on and I'll do it first time. So it's kind of like that sort of thing. There's kind of like all those little rewards and that. But yeah, it is absolutely insane. And I've always feel like I've tuned into it. It's almost like playing that game now has become like an extra sense, where I'm just flying through. Just my eyes are closed and I'm just like, yeah, do that, do this here. Because there's so many things. Initially I was like, there's so many different things you can do. Like, obviously there's guns, chainsaws, fists, different abilities that you got. I was like, I'm never going to remember this. And now I'm just switching through them all. Like, yeah, do that, do this one, yeah, him over there, blow his head off, yeah, chainsaw that guy, yeah, punch that guy, yeah, kick him in the nuts.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, really. Like, I held off getting that when it was released, and I thought, I'll wait till it's a bit cheaper. So I got it for Christmas, and yeah, Christmas Day playing that game, I think it's going to be a memory that sticks with me for a long time. Does anyone mind if I stick this on? No. Oh my god!
Vaccine Gatling gun out again.
Yeah, but some of the vaccine Gatling gun, but the demons, like the designs of the demons are like grotesque. Like, some of them are just like, what the fuck? Like, you'll walk into a room, it'll zoom in on what your next enemy is, and you're like, what the fuck is that?
Did you ever play Bloodborne?
A little bit. I never had it, but someone I know had it.
Because some of the bosses are like that, are kind of like, I don't even know what I'm looking at the minute.
Yeah.
So kind of Lovecraftian, I guess.
Yeah, it's like that. They've used a lot of the original sprites from like Doom 2, so they've made them look like exactly the same as Doom 2. So if you played that, it's kind of like, oh my god, there's that guy. But yeah, the leveling up system is unlike anything. Obviously it's a completely different gaming experience. It's just like heavy metal, relentless gore.
I've listened to the soundtrack a fair bit.
Yeah,
because I really enjoyed the first one.
Good soundtrack.
Good, like,
just
adds...
music. Yeah, definitely. And there are quiet moments between the like major battles as well, where you're like traversing stuff and exploring, and it's just really satisfying. And it's not very often that I play a game on hard, but I just thought, maybe this is the next transition I need to make into gaming now, because I need to just get used to dying all the time.
What you mean? You're going to play other games on hard mode now? You're going to be one of those?
Yeah, I think so.
I know.
We'll see how it goes. We'll see. I could go back on that.
Duncan, my friend, plays everything on hard mode, and he platinums everything as well. And he says he plays them to the point where he hates them. Like, he doesn't know why he does it, but like by the time he's trying to get the last bits of trophies or whatever, he can detest the game. But
I don't hate it yet, but it's great. If it's a good game to just really like. You don't have to think too much, I guess. Obviously you do, but you're not. There's not major puzzles or interesting choices to make. It is just like get from A to B and kill everything in your way.
Yeah, cool, man. So should we do new film discovery first, or next, Stephen?
Yeah, we can do that.
I find this one quite hard because I tend to watch more. I find myself watching more older stuff than I do new stuff.
Yeah.
Like I really enjoy finding like new discoveries. I feel like working through like lists of best films ever, and like you think I've never even heard of that before. I wonder what it is.
Yeah.
And you watch it, and yeah. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
You can go first, man.
Well, I was going to pick The Boxer's Omen, which I've talked about before, which is the Chinese black magic film, but I'm not going to go with that. It is a great film. It's a bizarre film. I'm going to go with Cemetery Man, which was the
Okay.
film with Rupert Everett playing a guy who works in a cemetery, and all the dead are coming back to life for some reason, and he has to keep killing them, and he has sex with one of them, and it's really insane. But it's got a lot of the kind of the vibes of horror movies I really love, like Dead Alive and Evil Dead. It's got a lot of those kind of humor moments to it. So, and I've never seen a film that has a tone like this. Like it's the most unique tone in a film I've maybe, I don't know, maybe not ever seen. So I've seen some weird shit, but this is up there.
Yeah, I've still not got around to seeing that, but I need to add it to a list somewhere so I remember it, because I pretty much did forget until you mentioned it again.
Yeah, it's really good. I definitely recommend you to watch it. It's got a really cool ending moment as well. I don't want to spoil it, but it's got a wacky ending.
Yeah. So on that list, so what are we calling this? Sorry.
Honourable. No. New discoveries.
New discoveries. Yeah. So for me, it's the films of so more than one film, but the films of Frank Henenlotter, because I'd never seen them before. Particularly Frankenhooker, which I think of all of his major releases probably doesn't get talked about half as much as Basket Case and Brain Damage. I really, really loved it. It was like 85 minutes of just the best sort of stuff. So ridiculous and stupid. But like so many great visuals. That the exploding hookers smoke super crack sequence, which I know I've mentioned on this podcast already before. But I can't remember the last time I watched a scene and I rewound it and watched it again, and then rewind it and watched it again. So 3 times I watched it because I was like, "What? I've got to see that again." It might be one of the greatest scenes ever, just just because every like second of it, you're just like, "What? What on earth? What the hell just happened?" But yeah, something about the tone of this film, I just really enjoyed. And again, another one where I was surprised that I hadn't seen it before. But I think Basket Case for me, I can't remember what I said on the podcast, what I rated it. I mean, I liked it to a degree, but I think Brain Damage and Frankenhooker kind of took it further. Yeah. And then I need to see Basket Case 2 and 3 probably this year to really.
Well, I've never seen Henenlotter. I prefer Brain Damage. As a part of it, I've seen some people on Instagram, younger people, like 20-year-olds, talking about how one particular person who says that Basket Case is their favorite film of all time. And I'm thinking, I don't think that's true.
Yeah.
Is it really? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe it is. Who am I to say it's not?
I mean,
but I just don't believe them.
We had a lot of fun with it, and I had a lot of fun when we chatted about it with Alice. That was fun. It was a fun episode. But yeah, probably a film I never need to see again. Again, I'm up for watching the sequels, definitely. But never need to watch it again. Whereas with Brain Damage, like that was a weird one, but a weird one that I definitely want to see again. And Frankenhooker, just something about it, just sort of cemented it as probably one of my favorite 80s comedy. Well, probably one of my favorite comedy horrors, but definitely one of my favorite 80s horrors. Just because I think it doesn't get talked about all that much. So.
Okay, I'm going to check it out then. I've not seen it, so.
Yeah, man, check it out. It's a good time.
Cool.
And the effects are amazing. Like,
top notch.
Definitely don't watch anything in slow motion, but because you would see everything that went into the effects. I think.
Okay. Yeah.
All the quick cuts of like exploding body parts and stuff just looks. It's just so good.
Yeah. All right, man. So I think we're gonna get to our 2020 movies. Did you have any honorable mentions you want to get out of the way?
Got a few honourable mentions. I won't talk about them in great detail because a couple of them we've already spoken about on podcast episodes. But one film that I didn't put anywhere near my top list of favourite films until I kind of looked back and I went, oh yeah, I completely forgot to add that. And that was Underwater, which I definitely need to see again.
Mm-hmm.
But
did we do an episode on
it? I think so. I think we did because that was back when obviously the cinemas were still open. So yeah, we did episode 126. We chatted about. So I can't remember what the rating I gave it then was, but almost looking back at it in hindsight, I do think it was a really good sort of film.
big budget horror? Like, well, it seemed like a big budget horror. It seemed to swing for the fences. Yeah,
definitely. And it's got, I mean, it pays homage to a lot of different movies. Aliens, The Abyss. What else?
I really like
Pacific Rim.
I really like the costumes. Like the deep sea diving costumes. It looked like kind of manga-ish, like Japanese inspired.
Yeah, I think that's why I said Pacific Rim. It felt like the big over the top, chunky metal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. And then the only other ones I've got on my honorable mentions list are, I think Gretel and Hansel was pretty good. So from the trailers, I kind of thought, yeah, it looks pretty good, but I can imagine it being a disappointment, because it's a updated version of a classic tale. But it was really gothic and dark and creepy, and I don't know if it's an A24 horror. I don't think it is it? Not Gretel and Hansel, but it sort of feels like it captures that sort of vibe.
Yeah.
The sort of dark gothicness of something like The Witch, but I don't know. It was genuinely quite creepy. I felt a lot of the visuals.
When did the Lighthouse come out?
I think that was pretty much this year. I think the official release was 2019, but I think majority of places got to see it in 2020. I believe.
Still not seen it, and I have a feeling I will really like it, but I'll get to it. Yeah. Any other honorable mentions you want to say?
And then the other few. So Relic was one of them. Did we do an episode on that?
No.
Host is the other one. Obviously, a massive cultural impact this year. Obviously, the best year for it to have come out. Obviously, it wouldn't have come out if it wasn't for this year. But I think it really captured a feeling. And they also put The Rental, which I'm not sure if you've seen.
Not James Franco. The other Dave Franco.
Dave Franco, Alison Brie, what's his name? Some other guy. But yeah, it was like.
Is Alison Brie in it? And Dave.
Alison Brie's in it, yeah. They're both in it.
I don't know that. Yeah.
But yeah, I was really impressed by it. It's kind of hard to describe what it is without really spoiling anything. But what starts off as a sort of thriller goes in another direction. But yeah, I don't think I saw that many people were that impressed by it, but I did really enjoy it, so that gets an honourable mention.
Okay, honourable mentions for me. I've got two that I'm going to put here. I really love them, but I don't know if I could really call them full-on horror. Spontaneous and Scare Me. Scare Me is the one where they're kind of telling each other scary stories, and it's really funny. If you're a horror movie fan, it's kind of made for you, but I don't know if it's technically a horror film. Maybe I don't know. It's a really good film. Spontaneous is more of a cross-genre teen coming-of-age film, but it has like some horror elements with exploding teenagers. That film moved me more than any film I've seen this year. Yeah, more than Soul. Like it had that kind of that emotional kind of resonance that, I mean, most coming of age films have that, but this film really, really hit home. My other honorable mention, I'm only putting it here because it really should be in my top 5, but I don't know why. I think I need to see it again. I think it's been too long, maybe. The Invisible Man. Like, it's a fantastic film, and I remember really loving it, but I can't quite remember it. So I can't quite put it in my top 5. if I don't quite remember it.
I definitely would like to see it again. And
Yeah.
I do remember it. I do remember it quite well. But I would like to see it again, yeah. Because, I mean, what was it, February, possibly, that came out? Because I saw that in the cinema. Yeah. Anything else?
No. Can I do my number 5 before you? Because I think, you'll have something to say about it.
Of course you can, man. Is that everything? Have we covered everything? I've got like an anticipated for 2021 list. I guess we'll mention that. Sorry. Before that, I'm just going to discuss something Andy said. So, in terms of his new discoveries, he said, "Better watch out." Joins his Christmas rotation.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that yet. Have you seen it?
Yeah. Watched it last year.
You've seen it? Okay.
A really good, kind of fun Christmas horror. It's basically Home Alone, but the inverse of Home Alone. That's why I sell it. But it is that. But it's good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. I need to see that. Probably not till next Christmas though, because I just can't do that to myself. He did say it was a year of rediscoveries, remembering how good films like Sleepy Hollow and The Mist really are. Enjoyed both of my watches of those this year. He did mention Resident Evil Nemesis remake, and then he also mentioned Haunting the Bly Manor, which pivots from scares to gothic romance story, which he had more time for than a lot of other folks.
I liked it. I think you didn't like it that much, right?
No, I didn't like it. I was quite annoyed at it. But if you and Andy enjoyed it, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you both.
Okay. Oh, did you want to quickly talk about? You've got another category here that I didn't put anything for. Disappointments. I couldn't think of anything to put in disappointments.
Well, first disappointment I want to discuss is obviously like delayed movies. So Candyman getting delayed, God knows how many times. But now we've got a 2021 release, apparently.
Actually, I do have a disappointment. Actually, go on.
You do?
Yeah, it just reminded me. Yeah.
Is it me?
No.
So again, I don't want to make this section too negative. So I'm not gonna dwell on these. But The Grudge, which came out in January, I believe, the American remake of a remake.
No,
that was a shit show. That was real bad. Didn't like that. Peninsula, the Train to Busan sequel, super disappointing. Didn't have the same sort of vibe at all. There were some sequences which were like Fast and the Furious versus zombies. Didn't like that. Books of Blood, which I know.
That's what I was going to say. Books of Blood. I'm a big Clive Barker person, and they just didn't sell me on it at all. I'm afraid.
That was not a good time. Not a good time at all. I've just noticed one thing. I've left off my new discoveries, and that was Possum. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah. No, I've not seen it. No.
That the visuals from that have kind of stuck with me for a long time, and I think some of the shots are going to be some of the most horrific sort of horror movie shots. They're definitely up there with some of them. But yeah, I recommend that. I think actually I don't know if that's on Netflix. It's a very weird one, but definitely worth a watch, psychological horror wise. Yeah. So that's all. That's everything covered, I believe.
Okay. Top 5 horror movies of our top 5 horror movies of 2020. My number 5 is a tie.
Never seen that.
You've already mentioned them, and they're about the same kind of rating in my mind. Is Relic and Underwater.
A tie. Okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah. So Relic, I watched a couple of weeks ago, and I really liked it. I really like the whole liminal spaces vibe. When they tie that into this idea that someone, gets confused in their own home, suffering from Alzheimer's. I thought it was quite cool. I kind of thought I knew what they were doing, and then there's that one point where she sort of finds that this cupboard doesn't end, and it kind of leads into this other part of the house, and then it kind of I think that's maybe the best example of that kind of thing I've seen. And the rooms are getting smaller, the corridors are getting weird, and then they're getting followed by the creepy mother character. Really cool. Really cool. I really liked it.
I think my only problem with it, I mean, the problem is entirely mine, is that by the end, I don't know if I quite understood what had happened. Maybe that was the point. But I think I was definitely a bit lost, and I had to go away and do a little bit of research into thinking what it apparently was about. But it was definitely one of those films where I was like, okay, there we go. I don't feel so bad about that then.
Well, they kind of they peel away the wallpaper of the woman.
Yeah.
Peel it away, and then they leave like a little like a I don't know what it is. It's like a weird goblin creature thing that's their mum. It's weird looking, but that's what I like. I like that it was like, you know what? I've not even mentioned. You know what? You might have it on your list, so don't worry.
Okay. But I liked a lot of the visuals from it. I think all the performances were good in Relic as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
And then I've tied it with Underwater. We've already talked about it, but you don't see many horror movies that are big budget, crazy sci-fi stuff like that. So you've got to give it props.
I think I need to watch it again.
It's so expensive. You've got to give it props.
It was bloody expensive, mate. You should see. Kristen Stewart's hair alone cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
I bet that was an expensive looking haircut. Okay. So how are we doing this? So if
I've got your number 5, I'll tell you. Just say what it is.
Okay. So my number 5 is The Wolf of Snow Hollow.
I've not seen it.
Which we did. Oh, you've not seen it?
No.
We didn't discuss on a podcast. But yeah, it was a. From seeing the trailer, I thought it was going to be like a standard, little quirky zombie movie directed by Jim Cummins. Obviously, who made Thunder Road and starring Jim Cummins as I think the same character as Thunder Road. I'm pretty sure. Now I've said that out loud, it feels like it might be wrong. But
someone else said it was the same character. So
Jim Arnold. Wait, I'm just double checking. John Marshall. So it's not the same character in terms of name, but it's definitely the same character in terms of like the performance. And it's like a really weird comedic performance, but one that you're kind of like just chuckling along to constantly. It's like really awkward and just strange, and again, no spoilers with this, but it's not a traditional. It's like a mystery movie, I guess, but it felt like a really nice, like small town, I guess small budget, werewolf movie, and sort of like a traditional one in a sense, especially in terms of it definitely looked like there were a lot of practical effects, but yeah, a very nice movie. I liked it.
Yeah, I want to watch it. I also want to watch Thunder Road, so I'll probably double bill them.
Yeah, he seems great there, Jim Cummins. I saw him post a video the other day talking about Letterboxd, so he seems like a major film fan, film nerd.
Yeah, I've actually listened to a lot of interviews with him about like filmmaking and stuff. He's quite, the proponent of just kind of DIY indie filmmaking. So yeah, it's good to listen to. My number 4 is Host, directed by Rob Savage, written by Rob Savage, Jed Shepard, and Gemma Hurley. What can you say about this film? That, I mean, if you've not seen this film, it's a film that basically is 2020 in a horror movie. Like it completely like summarizes the year. Again, made on a very small budget in lockdown over Zoom. Really effective. It kind of does everything that you kind of want in a movie like this. Like I kind of feel like they kept it simple to the point where they were just going to deliver the scares, and if they ever complicated it, people would have got more pissed off by the medium, by the format a bit more. It's really good. I very much enjoyed it, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what Rob does next.
Obviously, the fact it was under an hour long as well is quite a unique thing. How do you think that's going to affect features going forward?
I think stuff that's going straight to streaming, I don't think it's going to care less and less about length. So the problem, I think filmmakers have a habit of going over film length budget. I think this film was supposed to be shorter in the pitch, and then he went over. I think so. I'm not too sure. So a lot of streaming films do tend to be like a bit longer and a bit flabby, whereas if like you're going for like a theatrical screening, you might be a bit more sharp with the cutting. I'm not too sure, but yeah, it's cool. It's a good film.
Yeah,
what about you?
Does a lot right. So my next one is number 4. So I've gone for His House.
So this is one I just was going to add to my honourable mentions. It's not in my list, but I'm glad it's on someone's list. It's a great film.
I'm glad it's on. I think it's on Andy's list as well. So just double checking where he's put. So he's put Host is his number 4.
Mm-hmm.
The Wolf of Snow Hollow is his number 2.
Yeah.
So he was really into that. His House isn't on his list. Sorry, I've got that wrong. But yeah, it's like it's a film that kind of is a psychological horror, represents trauma and fear of being forced to like leave a war-torn country. A very good human story with a supernatural twist. Just really effective. Just sort of had me sort of wondering where it was going to be going with each moment. And it did remind me of Possum in a way, which obviously I've mentioned as my favorite new discovery, where it was a very dark, very human story, but something that had like this looming specter over the top of it throughout proceedings, and you kept on wanting to see more of that threat, and you kind of wanted to unpick what that threat was going to be. So it kept, and when there is a reveal of sorts, I won't say what kind of reveal, in case anyone listening hasn't seen it. I say that, but we've been spoiling everything. But when there is a reveal of sorts, I think it's really satisfying, and it is really like, oh Jesus Christ.
Yeah, there's just some amazing visuals. I love they use it as the poster, I think, where he's like on the table and then he's suddenly out in the middle of the sea.
That's great.
There's like demons crawling out of the sea. Really good.
And you know, the way that their story is revealed to us is really good as well, because obviously you feel a certain way about these characters to start with, and as more and more is revealed, you're kind of made to feel a little bit conflicted in how you're supposed to feel about these characters, and that just adds to everything.
Yeah, there's quite a horrendous reveal with the main character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
My number 3. I don't know if this is on your list or not. The Platform.
Okay.
That was 2020, right? No, did I say it? I'm pretty sure it was 2020. Straight to Netflix.
Yeah. I think it was Netflix in 2020.
Platform is if you like your films like Cube, or if you like anything that's got that kind of it's a big old metaphor and it's a kind of a social experiment sort of thing, and let's just see what these characters do in a situation. I've seen it twice now, and it's really good. It has all the horror moments. It's got all the philosophy moments. It's just one of those films that I can imagine just sticking on every now and again, late at night, don't know what to do. A bit of a comfort horror movie that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in the same way Cube is. Like,
does that make you hungry?
No, but his food of choice is the escargot, and I don't know if I could ever eat snails. I just don't know. I mean, they look kind of like buttery things, but I don't know. I'd have lasagna if I was going into that situation. Lasagna and a samurai.
That'll fill you up as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Someone to get on platform above, 100 platforms above. Someone to have that though. They see lasagna and they'd be like, "That's all for me." So yeah, it's a gnarly film, and that I guess it's like a class commentary type thing. And it's one of those films where when you're watching it, you know, it invokes, it strikes up conversations, doesn't it? So whoever you're watching it with, you're like, well, what would you do? What would you do? How would you get out of there? What could he do?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it is pretty brutal, you know. There are some moments.
And it's really well made as well. Like, also, a guy gets shit on his face. Like, he's climbing up his rope and someone shits on his face.
So someone pulls down their pants and shits at him. Like,
you see it in real time.
You see it in real time. I mean, could you do that if you were called upon to suddenly do it?
What do you mean? Like if
I feel like I get
no,
stage fright.
even if like you were comfortable with that situation
Yeah.
and you were like completely confident, I don't think you could just.
Unless
I mean,
unless it was one of those where sometimes where you're like, I need to go, and all it needs is the very slightest push, and
you just pull the cheeks apart so it doesn't catch the sides, slips right out.
I mean, yeah, I was
Doesn't even make
impressed.
a noise.
I was impressed by that moment, if anything. Like I clapped, I stood up, and I went, "What a man!"
Also, how do you aim? I mean, like normally you have like a seat to kind of guide, like a seat guidance system. That's not there in this situation. Yeah, what?
He's right on the edge of that platform as well. He could have easily slipped backwards, fallen
Yeah,
to his death with his kecks around his ankles.
the guy could have just grabbed his kecks,
Yeah.
pulled them down.
When you pull down someone's trousers, I've been having this debate with. I've mentioned her once already, but my girlfriend, Charlie. When
Yeah.
someone gets their trousers pulled down, she calls it kegged.
We call it
K-E.
kegged as well.
You call it kegged as well.
In the Midlands, yeah, kegged.
But
What do you
she's
call
not
it?
from
Kegged?
the Midlands. She's from like southwest. I call it kecked.
Yeah, it's probably all from the same origin.
Yeah. I'm not saying something's wrong or right, I know.
Did you ever get kegged at school? Pants
kegged?
pulled down?
I don't think so. Not at school.
PE, Dito, my mate, kegged me good.
As long as you had your pants on, as long as you had your
All
underwear
came
on.
down. All came down in the middle of a football field.
Winkle out as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably was kegged, but what I've done is I've just repressed it. I've just gone, no, I'm the one who done the kegging. No.
Yeah.
Didn't do that either.
That was my number 3. What was Andy's number 3?
Andy's number 3 was Possessor.
Okay, well, we won't talk about that yet. I'm pretty sure that'll come back up.
So I put my number 3. Am we doing my number 3?
No, what's yours?
So my number 3 is Freaky. So I've decided to put Freaky because I liked it so much more than I thought I would. It was just a really fun film. And even though it was like a combination of genres and, it was obviously initially pitched as Freaky Friday the 13th. So it was kind of like taking on both of those. I just loved it. And I think Vince Vaughn's performance was great. The lead actress, who I think has just been cast in the new Ant-Man film as well. So what's her name? Catherine Newton. So she I think she was great. I'll never forget loads of stuff from this film, like Vince Vaughn's funny run.
Wine bottle in the neck.
Wine bottle in the neck. That was good. But yeah, it was one of those films. Like we've already discussed Escape Room, which is like a PG-13 wannabe Soul Light movie, whereas this just goes right. We could be that kind of film. And in terms of like Happy Death Day, where that was like not really gory, I don't think you saw much blood at all, and people kind of got killed off screen. I think that happened. I can't remember. This was like it just didn't give a crap. This was so gory, and so the kills were like amazing. And in terms of a concept, I just had a lot of fun with it.
This was in my top 5 until I started to think about earlier in the year, and that then Underwater and the platform ended up on the list.
Maybe because we watched it not so long ago, it's still sort of fresh in my mind. Is the reason it made the top 5.
It would be in my top 10, I think.
Yeah. But I had a lot of fun with it, and it's definitely going to be one of those films you kind of watch. It's definitely a film to watch with people as well. So obviously once lockdown's over, I'll say I'm not going to the pub. I'm not going to the cinema. I'm going get over my gaff to watch Freaky, and then people can tell me it's naff.
Yeah. Okay, so what are we on now? What number?
On your number 2.
Two. Okay. Speaking of number 2s, I went with Possessor as my number 2 of 2020. Possessor, directed by Brandon. It is Brandon, isn't it? Brandon Cronenberg. Son of David Cronenberg. Is this on your list?
This is my number 1.
Okay, so let's wait till we do our number 1 to talk about it properly.
Okay.
Yeah. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is The Invisible Man, which obviously you've already mentioned. definitely a film I'd like to watch again, but one that had a big impact on me. As I was saying, I saw it at the cinema and I watched it in a very small cinema with like maybe 12 seats. It was like in Kingsbridge.
Okay.
And there's a moment in this film where like, I was obviously so tense that somebody who worked in the cinema came in to like, obviously, I don't know, do you know, they pop their head in sometimes like that, don't they? And I was so tense in a particular scene, and he'd obviously quietly come into the thing, and I honestly shit my pants. Not literally, but I went, shit, this
Yeah.
guy. And he was looking at me like, what's wrong with you? But
It's the most tense. It's, in terms of like suspense, it's the best made suspense film in a long time, I think.
And Elizabeth Moss, I'm a bit hot and cold with her. Sometimes I think she is absolutely great, and other times I think, God, she might be a little bit awful. So, for example, I saw there's a movie called Her Smell where she plays like a sort of drug addicted, self-destructive punk rocker, and maybe it's just because she's such a good actress. But coming out of that film, I was like, I hate her just because of her character, mainly because of her character. But yeah, in this, she's absolutely great, and she's like a great leading lady, and you know, when you're really rooting for someone when they're fighting back. And I just love the modern take on a lot of the stuff. I might maybe like to have seen some more of the science stuff, because it was kind of like, this bloke's got a suit that makes him invisible.
It was the guy from Haunting of
Hill House. The guy from Manor,
yeah.
And of Hill House, yeah, you're right. But yeah, so tense, shocking. There were moments in this where I was like, holy shit, did that just happen? I can't believe it.
One of the death scenes that kind of comes out of nowhere.
One of the death scenes is like absolutely nuts.
Someone else gets smacked on the head out of nowhere.
Yeah, it is a really great film, and it's Lee Wannell, isn't it? Big Lee Lee Wannell, who's obviously hitting out the park with stuff like Upgrade, and he's making Escape from New York, and he's making Wolfman. So really excited to see what we get from him, because he's really impressed by this.
Yeah, I think in terms of like the way he built the suspension in that film and like used the negative space on the scene, it's masterful. It really is.
And there were some fight sequences as well, which were like just amazing. Like you kind of imagine a woman fighting an invisible man. Okay, I can kind of understand what I would see. It just kept shocking you, and you know there were certain moments you're like, right, now he's gonna get it, the invisible man. You wait, and then he'd still end up like coming out on top. Maybe the only thing is the ending was for me. The ending was like, okay, I can kind of a bit predictable. Maybe okay, I can kind of see what's gonna happen now.
Yeah, well, I know what you mean. I wouldn't that
still effective though, I think.
Yeah, I want to watch it again. Again, that would be in my top 10 for sure. I mean, it'd probably be higher up. I think more. I've not gone for my top 10 isn't like a quality thing. It's more like a preference in terms of the kind of movies that I would want to watch again and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The films I vibe with the most. My number one might piss you off because it's a UK 2020 film. It's not. I think it came out in the US last year, but I only saw it this year, so it's a 2020 film to me, and it's a film that I vibe with so much. I just love everything about it. Richard Stanley's Color Out of Space, starring Nicolas Cage. It's so batshit. It's really nasty at times in the best way. It's kind of shockingly nasty. Have you seen it?
We did a bloody episode on this.
Oh, okay, yeah. I don't even know what I rated it. But
we've done a lot.
Yeah, man. This episode,
just before recording today, that was the one where I went, oh shit, that was 2020. But because it's like labeled as in 2019 on IMDb and Letterboxd, I think it got a little bit lost in the mix. But definitely one that I probably would say is at least an honourable mention for me.
It's the kind of film that like it's got such character to it. Like if you watch this as a 13-year-old, it's the kind of film you would still think back to and go, "Fucking hell, that was a mental film." Like Nicolas Cage's accent is insane. Like some of the acting is bizarre.
The body horror.
Cheech Chong. It's got some dodgy CGI, not too much. But it's got, spoiler alert, the mum and the son mutate into like one weird creature thing that starts to like dribble all over the sister character. It's like it's unreal. Like it's really unreal.
That was super effective as one of the like visual moments of 2020, where I was just like, you know, when you're like you're like, kind of looking away, you're a bit like, oh Jesus Christ.
And it's
body
like
horror wise,
freak out kind of stuff at the tail end of the film where the colours taken over. It becomes like everything starts getting distorted and fizzy and kind of surreal in a way. It's, I don't know, man. It's like I'm this kind of film. I'm going to get a Blu-ray and I want to get like a nice edition of it because I just kind of love it.
A bit cliche to describe films as a trip, but I definitely think this is one of them.
Yeah. I have a feeling I know what your number one is, but I won't spoil it. You go.
I said, oh right, okay, yeah. So my number one is Possessor, which we've obviously mentioned. Well, I don't think we've talked about it much already. Strangely, we didn't do an episode on this, but I guess when it was released, it was a bit all over the place, wasn't it? It wasn't easy to get hold of. And sorry, going back to Andy, he's put Possessor as number 3, but he did put The Invisible Man as his number 1. So he's up there with me on Lee Wannell. We were both impressed by that. But yeah, Possessor was like one of those films where I was so worried that the hype of it was going to outweigh my actual enjoyment of it. But I think something felt quite special about it because I watched it on the online BFI London Film Festival. So the screening, like you had to be sat there with your headphones on, ready, waiting for it to start. So it felt like a bit it felt like a bit of an event. But yeah, it was such a combination of, it's like a uber violent science fiction, body horror, sensory overload, mind bending, cyberpunk, techno noir. I'm just reading off some of the things I wrote about. Techno noir thriller with a concept that I feel like, I think I may have mentioned this when we were chatting about it. I can't remember if we were chatting about it on the quiz. We chatted about it at some point. But the concept initially feels so simple. It's like, okay, that's a really simple concept. You can explain that in like a sentence. But the potential of that as a concept is like unlimited for like in directions you can take it and where you can take it. And in terms of like the visual style, it felt like, and it was unlike anything I felt like I'd seen before. It kind of feels like it'd be a great double bill with Upgrade, because that's like obviously a more action oriented version of something similar. Not the same concept, obviously, but something similar. And I just really loved it. I loved the performances from the main actors, and you know, again, plenty of moments where I was like sort of half looking at the screen because it was super gruesome. Some of the gore was great, but I just really liked the story as well. I think it took it in a very interesting direction.
Yeah, it's one of the most visually interesting films. Like some of the not transformation scenes, but there's like the mind melding kind of bits, I guess. I don't know how they did some of the stuff. It looks like they've done some 3D modeling or something, and they're kind of melting. It looks really good.
I'd like to see how. I mean, I probably need to watch some behind the scenes stuff. You know, remember when there was like a weird bit of like floating matter, just sort of like vibrating, floating matter. It kind of felt like, I don't know. When you were talking about VR earlier, it kind of made me feel that was a similar sort of experience. It's the first time I've watched a film, obviously in 2D, where I kind of felt a little bit like I was in the head of some of the characters. And I think like sometimes that's so easy to get wrong. Like you're in the head of this character, like without doing POV shots or with doing POV shots, it can be a bit like, oh, I've seen it all before. But something about this just really did get under my skin, and I was so glad because, as I said, I was so hyped for it, and often getting swept up by the hype is something that happens to me a lot, and I'm quite guilty of. Sometimes I'm guilty of like trying to adjust my opinion on a film based on how much I anticipated it. So I'm like, I don't think I really enjoyed it, but I was really looking forward to that. So I kind of want to say, yeah, it was great.
It's weird, isn't it? Like, I was thinking about this the other day. Like, as you get older, you get more adept at recognizing stuff that you actually like. Right, and like so you're able to kind of separate it a bit more from hype or like peer pressure or I don't know, whatever. Like you become more accustomed to your own taste. But I love that a film like this is getting made. Like it's one of the most like unique films. Like if you think about all the other movies on the list, His House, Hosts, all great. Invisible Man, but then you've got Possessor, which is completely a different thing. Like it's so unique, so weird, kind of like he definitely followed in his father's footsteps.
Yeah.
I wonder if some people see it as a negative. I mean, I don't think it is, but
no, I mean, no, not at all. I think if your father's like one of the kings of like body horror movies and stuff, and then suddenly you've made a film and actually it's pretty fucking awesome, and it kind of captures the vibe of those films, but also stands up on its own and has its own identity. That's insane. Like that's really impressive.
Did you see his other film, Antiviral? I think it was called. I've not seen it.
No, so I think it was it, I think maybe Zoe mentioned it when we did the nice Chianti stuff. She mentioned Antiviral, so I should probably check that out because I knew absolutely nothing about it, and it was 2012.
Yeah.
I'll have a look.
Yeah, I need to watch that as well. Yeah, it's good. That's a good number one. Is there anything else that we need to talk about? Andy's number one, Invisible Man.
So Andy's number one was Invisible Man. He put Possessor as number 3 as well. I think we covered most of what he said. The only thing I was going to mention was potential anticipated stuff for 2021. So I was going to reel these off just as we can chat about them maybe if you want. But so obviously Candyman finally getting released, hopefully at some point. I don't even know what the release date is at the moment. May possibly. I don't know. Looking forward to that. Obviously, you get a lot of Resident Evil this year with a film, a Netflix show, a new game, and I think an animated series as well. So if you're a Resi fan, 2021's the year for all your stuff, all your content. We're finally going to get Ghostbusters Afterlife, which I was looking forward to just because it felt like it was really captured the vibe. I know we've just seen trailers, but interested to see with kids is like the lead characters in it as well. Hopefully that's not too naff. The Green Knight, so the A24 movie.
Cool. Yeah,
that looks really good. That was supposed to come out last year as well, but didn't. That got put back. Halloween Kills, obviously we're gonna get. I'm assuming in October, right?
Yeah, I think it'll be coming in October. Edgar Wright's film is coming out.
That's next on my list. Yeah, last night in Soho. So I don't know much about this, but I know it's supposed to have some horror elements to it, right?
I think so. I don't know. I was under the impression it was like a kind of a Giallo type thing, right? Is that not the case? Who knows?
I'm not sure. I thought I heard that as well, yeah. And apart from that, I put Army of the Dead down as well as Zack Snyder, which obviously we discussed at the horror news at the top of the show. Anything else that you're thinking of?
I'm actually really excited about Halloween Kills. Mortal Kombat, I think they're doing it again.
Oh, yeah.
Quiet Place 2, Godzilla vs. Kong.
The way you said it then was like A Quiet Place 2 tagline Godzilla vs. Kong. Well, I didn't know that. I obviously I will watch A Quiet Place 2, but I feel like I've seen the trailer now because I did go to the cinema a fair few times when we were allowed in 2020, and obviously even when it got delayed they were still showing that trailer, so I've probably seen the trailer 20 times maybe.
Yeah.
So I need to not see that trailer again until I see the film because I'm going to be so over it.
I'll tell you what I'm actually excited about. I don't know if these films are coming out in 2021, but Rob Savage has filmed his follow-up. They've shot their follow-up to Host.
Yeah, I think they finished filming, haven't they?
Yeah. So I'm very curious to see what the hell they've been up to. Who knows?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. There we go.
Yeah.
2020.
Right.
That was the year.
I haven't got my notes up, so I don't know the outro off the top of my head. I think we're going to rejiggle that soon anyway. So I'll tell you what, if you've been listening to the show for any length of time, go to the Facebook group Horror Hangout Board Advisors, and we asked people for a little bit of feedback to see what you want to see more of. Do you want to see some interviews with filmmakers? Do you not want to see interviews with filmmakers? Do you want to see more features? So I don't know, top horror westerns, that kind of thing.
Can't wait to do that list, man.
Yeah, Bone Tomahawk. That'll be right on top.
Yeah.
Yeah, go to the Facebook group. Let us know what you think, and then we can do more of what you want. I guess.
Because I guess it's like it's a tried and tested formula. But if anybody was particularly keen on seeing more or less of certain things, then we're very interested to know about it. So give us a shout.
Sweet. All right. That's it. Done. We're done for the year.
Thank you very much. We're done for the year. There we go. Next week we are doing an anticipated and controversial choice. We're doing Congo, which let's not say anything else because we'll save all the good stuff for the episode.
Yeah. Sweet. All right. I'll catch you in a bit.
Lovely. See you later, dude.
Bye.